If you're into photography, then James Popsys might be one of your favorite YouTube channels. James is a British travel and adventure photographer. He has more than 270K subscribers on his YouTube channel. His story is quite interesting. In this video, I'll tell you how photography became James's creative outlet, how he quit his job to become a photographer, and how he got into commercial, composite, and landscape photography and YouTube. So, now let's start from the beginning. James David Popsys was born on May 5, 1989 and hails from North Wales, UK. He grew up there. At a young age, he wanted to express his creativity but wasn't good at drawing, painting, and singing. So, he chose photography and found it to be a good creative outlet. James was an avid traveler and used to carry his camera in his early 20s, but at the time, he wasn't very passionate about photography. As he loved writing, he wanted to grow up to become a journalist. Later, he started a couple of blogs, but as we all know, he ultimately became a photographer and YouTuber. For his 18th birthday, Emily, whom he later married, gifted him a Pentax Optio A20 camera. He started his photography journey in 2011 with a Panasonic Lumix DMC GX1 camera. After completing university, James secured a marketing job in London. He worked in this job until he, along with Emily, moved to Sydney in September 2015. They moved to the Emerald City aka Sydney as they loved the city and had a few friends there. Here, he secured a marketing job and also continued pursuing his hobby of photography. He used to dedicate all his evenings and weekends to photography and editing for many hours. In 2016, his company offered him to work part-time. At the time, James developed an itchy feet and decided to become a full-time photographer. As he was getting many inquiries, he was confident that he could make a career in photography. But he didn't quit his job at that point to become a full-time photographer. Instead, he started working part-time at his job and took up professional photography, and thanks to this, he got the best of both worlds. He continued receiving regular paychecks from his job and also started working as a photographer a couple of days a week. Later, as James started feeling homesick, he quit his job in 2017 and moved from Australia to Manchester and became a full-time commercial photographer. At home, he lived with his parents for around 9 months and paid a minimum rent and paid minimally for food, and this warded off the financial burden on him, by which he was able to focus on his photography career. James worked as a professional photographer in London and then became a travel photographer. Before moving to Manchester from Sydney, he and Emily decided to do a 2-month camper trip in New Zealand. And before embarking on this trip, he bought himself a Lumix DMC TZ10 camera with which he started taking the photos of the trip and got a good understanding of aperture and ISO, and this cemented his love for photography. James also decided to video document the trip, and so he started filming the trip, and during the video editing process, he felt working on the videos to be as much of a creative outlet as photography. The first video on his channel is titled, "She Changed Her Shirt New Zealand EP1, published on December 20th, 2016. Even though the James Popsys channel was started way back in 2011, he started publishing videos on it only from the end of 2016. Initially, James published the trip videos and later started publishing photography and tutorial videos. Eventually, he fell in love with YouTubing and later chose this over professional photography. He earns from ads, affiliate marketing, and sponsorships, and also sells prints, presets, and books on his website. When James moved to London, he upgraded to a slightly better camera, and as he had free time on the weekends, he tried to shoot original photos by walking around the city, but he grew disappointed as he found that other photographers had already shot almost all locations in London, and this meant that he couldn't shoot original photos unless he was very proficient. And even when James used to stumble upon unique places, he would ready his camera only to find other photographers beside him vying with him to capture the same location. This annoyed him, and he gave up photography for a little time until he came across the incredible composite works of Eric Johansson, and at the time, James also discovered a tutorial of layer masking in Photoshop. He was ecstatic upon discovering composite photography as he realized that he could strive for original photos by stitching photos together to make an original concept, even without having much experience with photography, and this started his journey in composite photography. James learnt layering and blending images in Photoshop through YouTube and created his first surreal Photoshopped photo titled Rough Landing, with photos taken in Richmond Park, Heathrow, and Shoreditch, and combining the elements of plane landing, grass, and an empty billboard. While working as a commercial photographer, James used to also do composite photography, but as he started devoting more time to his YouTube channel, he started getting impatient sitting in front of the computer for long hours, editing photos for composite photography. Also, video editing had been a time-consuming task, and after a few months of working on his YouTube channel, he started loving his channel more than composite photography. So, he chose YouTubing over composite photography. James used to occasionally do composite photography but later switched to conventional photography, specifically landscape photography, and in 2023, he worked as a photographer for Switzerland Tourism. As previously mentioned, he started his photography journey with a Panasonic Lumix DMC GX1 and later upgraded to an Olympus OMD M5, and after 3 years, for full-frame photography, he upgraded to a Nikon D750 and then switched to a Panasonic Lumix DC G9. His career took off with this camera. Later, James switched to a Sony Alpha 7R4. He also loves the camera of his iPhone 14 Pro Max. He lives in Wales, UK. Now that I've finished telling you James's story, enjoy a few tidbits about him. He loves playing golf and is a globetrotter and has traveled to more than 40 countries. India is James's dream place to travel, and he loves photographing Wales, the Alps, New Zealand, Greenland, and Italy. His favorite composite photo is Zone 334. Here, he blended an underground public subway's entrance with a remote deserted place. James hates waiting for light, aka the golden hour, and also hates working with tripods and filters. His favorite images are the ones which he shot at Petermann Island of Antarctica, Lofoten Islands of Norway, and West Greenland. His favorite book is Wall and Peace by Banksy, and the 4-Hour Workweek was an eye-opener in his professional life. So, how are you inspired by James Popsys' story? Please comment below. If you are into reading, I've also written his story on my website, which I'm linking in this video's description. And if you are interested in more success stories of your favorite YouTubers, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.